What is going on, everybody? It's Brandon and welcome back to another episode of Murata Media. And today I will be doing a review of the live action reboot of the classic Disney film Aladdin. Now, as I mentioned, this is a live action remake of the 1992 classic, and it is one of the several Disney properties that has been made or is going to be made into a live action remake. And leading up to this film, a lot of people were very skeptical of it, and with good reason, because you're remaking one of the most beloved Disney properties of all time. And at first you had that really awkward Entertainment Weekly cover, and that really steered people the wrong way. And then the first theatrical trailer for this movie came out, and that's when we got to see the genie be blue. And it just did not look good, and people had the lowest expectations for it, myself included. Then the second theatrical trailer came out, and after I watched that trailer, I was a little bit more optimistic about it. And I'm happy to say, after seeing the live action Aladdin, I was pleasantly surprised. And my biggest concern for this movie was the acting, but that was honestly the best part of it, especially Will Smith. Now, the genie is one of those characters that when you think of the person who played them, and the genie, of course, was played by Robin Williams. And no one can ever play the genie like Robin Williams, so I was a little bit afraid that Will Smith would try to emulate him too much. Thankfully, he did not, and he just tried to make the character his own, and I think he really succeeded in doing that. He was very funny, charismatic, and just an overall joy whenever he was on screen. But he wasn't the only actor who was great. The other actors were great as well, namely Mena Massoud as Aladdin and Naomi Scott as Jasmine. There was one performance that I thought was a little bit bad, but I'll get to that later. But something that really made the acting and characters work for me was their chemistry, specifically between Aladdin and the genie. They played off each other very well, and you could tell that they were really having fun with one another whenever they appeared in the same scene together. And this really contributed to the film's humor. It was a lot funnier than I thought it would be. There were several times throughout the entire thing where I found myself laughing pretty hysterically, and that was a very refreshing surprise. One pretty hilarious scene that sticks out in my mind is when Aladdin and the genie first go to meet Princess Jasmine when he's Prince Ali, and Aladdin just can't get the correct words out, and he says things that come off in a really terrible way, and the genie keeps trying to fix it. A huge part of the original Aladdin movies were the musical numbers. There are several of them, but namely the ones like Friend Like Me, Prince Ali, and A Whole New World. Each of the sequences with those songs in them were very enjoyable and fun to watch. Will Smith really added his own flair to Friend Like Me. The sequence for Prince Ali was very unique in my opinion. It kind of had the vibe of a Bollywood movie. And I saw this with one of my friends who's a huge Disney buff and a very big fan of the original Aladdin. And during the Prince Ali sequence, he leans over to me and says, "If Will Smith is not in drag during this scene, then I'm walking out of the theater." And thankfully, he did not have to walk out of the theater. That's all I'll say. But I really do think the standout musical number was the classic A Whole New World. When that song started playing, I just sat there in the theater with a big smile on my face like an idiot. Because I remember listening to that song in the car when I was a kid on my Disney mixtape CDs. But one thing about this song that really stood out to me was Naomi Scott. Wow, she has an incredible voice. I had never heard her sing before, but this movie really makes me hope that she takes on more roles with singing in the future. Now we're on to the things that I disliked about the movie. Earlier I mentioned that there was one performance that I thought was kind of bad, and that performance was Jafar's. Jafar was portrayed by a man named Marwan Kanzawi, and I just thought he was miscast in this role. In the original, Jafar is a very intimidating and scary kind of guy, but in this one he wasn't intimidating in the slightest. And I think a big reason for that was his voice. He has a pretty high-pitched voice. Like in the original movie, when Jafar would say, "Bring me the lamp," he would sound like this.
Bring me the lamp.
But in this movie, he sounds like this.
Bring me the lamp.
Bring me the lamp. It sounds like he's more so just asking than demanding. Bring me the lamp, please. Whenever it's convenient for you. If you can't do it now, that's fine. Do it whenever you like. And I do feel a little bit bad because he really is trying, but it was just a poor choice for this role. Another one of my biggest complaints was the CGI. It looks pretty decent in some parts, but there's a lot more sequences where it wasn't very good. Namely, the genie's character model when he's blue. It looked really bad in the trailers, and it looks okay here, but it wasn't all that great, but it wasn't so bad to the point where I was distracted by it. Something else I noticed that kind of bothered me was something that happened at the beginning of the movie. When Aladdin and Jasmine are running away from the guards through the streets of Agrabah, there's a few shots that are noticeably sped up, and you can tell that they were sped up in post-production. I'm not sure why this was done, but it was a very strange choice and it really distracted me. Thankfully, it does not happen often. If it did, I did not notice it other than that beginning sequence. These last two things are pretty minor. There's a very tiny subplot with the genie and Jasmine's handmaiden, played by Nasim Pedrad. It kind of goes nowhere and it just felt very unnecessary. Like, it didn't need to be in the movie, and if it wasn't, really nothing would have changed. And the second thing is that this movie was directed by Guy Ritchie, a man whose previous directing credits included Snatch, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and the Sherlock Holmes movies. So I thought he was a very interesting choice to direct a movie like Aladdin, because I feel that his direction really didn't add anything to the film. I feel like if they got someone else who had experience directing this type of movie, specifically something Disney related, then it probably could have been a lot better. That being said, his direction was not awful, it just didn't add anything to the movie as a whole. But overall, guys, I was very pleasantly surprised by Aladdin. I went in not expecting a lot and with some skepticism because of the things that I had seen leading up to it. But I think they did a great job of staying true to the original while also adding some new things in the process. Like, if they stayed completely true to the original and just had the exact same sequence of events, line for line, scene by scene, then it probably wouldn't have done anything for me. But thankfully, they did some new things while also trying to stay true to the source material. But at the end of the day, I was very entertained while watching Aladdin, and that's really all I can ask for. And overall, I'd give Aladdin a 7 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my review of Aladdin. If you haven't seen my past reviews, check those out. I'll link those right over here. And tell me what you thought of Aladdin. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you just as surprised with it as I was? If you like my review, be sure to slap a like on it. And also, if you want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time.